The opulent Diriyah Palace in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia played host to a significant event on February 18, 2025. Top diplomats from the United States and Russia convened for a high-stakes meeting. The world watched with bated breath, hopeful for a breakthrough in the ongoing Ukraine war. The meeting marked a potential turning point in the relationship between the two superpowers. It also underscored the shifting sands of global power. The meeting's significance was amplified by the backdrop of years of simmering tensions between Washington and Moscow. Relations had plummeted to new lows after Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022. The conflict had destabilized Europe. It had also drawn the United States into a proxy war, albeit one without direct military confrontation. The Biden administration's approach towards Moscow had been primarily confrontational. It focused on isolating Russia on the world stage. However, the return of Donald Trump to the White House in 2024 brought about a stark shift in U.S. foreign policy. Trump's more conciliatory tone towards Putin, evident in his public statements and a February 12 phone call, paved the way for the Riyadh meeting. U.S.-Russia relations have been marred by mistrust and animosity for decades. The Cold War, though officially ending in 1991, cast a long shadow. The collapse of the Soviet Union left behind a sense of resentment in Russia, a feeling of being humiliated on the world stage. Putin, who rose to power in the aftermath, skillfully exploited this sentiment, portraying the West as a threat to Russian interests. NATO expansion eastward, further into what Russia considered its sphere of influence, exacerbated tensions. The 2008 Russo-Georgian War and the 2014 annexation of Crimea were clear signals of Moscow's willingness to use military force to secure what it perceived as its vital interests. The West, for its part, accused Russia of aggression and expansionism, imposing sanctions and seeking to isolate it diplomatically. The 2016 U.S. presidential election added another layer of complexity. Russia's interference in the election aimed at boosting Trump's candidacy further poisoned the relationship. Special counsel Robert Mueller's investigation, though concluding that the Trump campaign did not collude with Russia, revealed the extent of Moscow's efforts to undermine American democracy. This interference cast a long shadow on U.S.-Russia relations, making cooperation on any issue extremely difficult. The U.S. delegation in Riyadh was led by Secretary of State Marco Rubio. He was joined by National Security Advisor Mike Waltz and Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff. Russia's delegation was headed by Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, a seasoned diplomat known for his tough stance. Also present was Yuri Ushakov, a close advisor to Putin on foreign policy matters, and Kirill Dmitriev, a prominent Russian businessman with close ties to the Kremlin. Despite the deep-seated mistrust, both sides acknowledged the need for dialogue. The talks, while preliminary, yielded some concrete agreements. The most significant was the establishment of a consultation mechanism to address bilateral issues. This mechanism was intended to serve as a platform for ongoing dialogue, aiming to prevent misunderstandings and manage disagreements. Crucially, the two sides agreed to appoint high-level teams tasked with finding a path to end the war in Ukraine. These teams were given a broad mandate to explore various options for a settlement, albeit with no preconditions set. The inclusion of Kirill Dmitriev in the Russian delegation underscored the importance of economic considerations in any future settlement. The Riyadh meeting, while a significant development, was only a first step on a long and uncertain road towards peace in Ukraine. Notable in its absence was any representation from Ukraine itself. President Volodymyr Zelensky, understandably wary of any agreement made without Kiev's input, expressed his dissatisfaction. Zelensky's concerns were echoed by European leaders. The United States' decision to engage directly with Russia, seemingly sidelining its European allies, caused apprehension in many European capitals. An emergency meeting in Paris, convened on the eve of the Riyadh talks, highlighted the growing rift between Washington and its transatlantic partners. The path forward is fraught with challenges. Russia, despite feeling the economic bite of Western sanctions, has shown no signs of backing down from its core demands. Ukraine, emboldened by the support of its Western partners, remains determined to reclaim its lost territories. The United States, under Trump's leadership, appears to be pursuing a more transactional approach, prioritizing its own interests and potentially leaving European allies feeling abandoned.